you want to get straight into
I
Resurrections?
was about to say we should go straight into Resurrections.
Absolutely. Let's go.
So Resurrections was released earlier last week to probably some of the most mixed and different opinion reviews I've seen.
I would say this is the most divisive film of the year.
Incredibly divisive.
Mm-hmm.
To give you an idea of that, on IMDb, not a single one of the star ratings goes above 20% of like the audience who voted for that.
Mm-hmm.
The highest one is a 6 out of 10, which sits at 17.2. But then you also have a 10 out of 10 at 10.8% and a 1 out of 10 at 9.4%.
Wow.
This is incredibly divisive
Mm-hmm.
between audiences. Nobody really, I don't think anyone has any ideas on what to think about this film. Everyone's kind of all over the place. But as someone who had just seen all 3 Matrix films previous to this one, I kind of liked it.
Yeah, same.
It was good. It was weird. It was meta. It added to the story without taking anything away. It had, it had everything I kind of wanted. It had Neo. It had Trinity.
Mm-hmm.
It had more world building. It had new world building, and it was good.
The most surprising elements for me was it's the same thing as how on rewatches of the original Matrix film, you're looking forward to all the action scenes, but it is within the smaller scenes that you pick up the story, you pick up more things about the world of the Matrix. And the Matrix Resurrections doesn't necessarily feel like a sequel to Revolutions, but more so a sequel to the franchise as a whole.
Yeah.
It feels like a reflection of the franchise as a whole even. And you're looking forward to, let's say, action scenes, but when you get into the film, the stuff that you really, really enjoy is the conversations that Lana Wachowski is presenting us.
Yeah.
The things that I walked away really loving, not to spoil anything, because this is a film much like Spider-Man last week, I would say, in which spoilers are like quite heavy in a sense. They are quite heavy. But
it also adds the question of what is a spoiler and what isn't.
Yes.
Would I consider the first 40 minutes of the film to be a bit of a spoiler?
I would say potentially.
As much as I'm desperate to talk about
exactly,
that, it's something I can't.
But the first 40 minutes delivers a critique of movie legacy sequels in general. And this was always to be expected, really. The Matrix has always been a very, not self-referential, but it knows what it is, and it's very heavy on its critiques. But Resurrections, more so than any of the previous films, actually critiques this newfound age of returning to franchises that we know and love and how we look at them. And I found what Matrix Resurrections does within that 40 minutes absolutely incredible. I loved the first 40 minutes. It's meta, and to a point, in a sense, it can be seen as pointless and maybe even cringy at times. But the best part of it is that it all feels like a scathing review of culture and filmmaking in general nowadays.
There's a lot of just pure malice and hatred towards Hollywood that seethes through these scenes. It's
an angry screenplay.
It's so angry.
Yeah.
And I love it. You can just tell how annoyed Lana is at all these years of boardroom meetings, press packets, everything else. And it just went, I put it all here. Yeah. And it's done so well. And it's done very well. And it's good.
Because I've read opinions about the film from people that don't like it, saying, it makes fun of fans of the Matrix trilogy. And I guess in a sense you could look at these scathing opinions as critiques of fans, but they're not. It's critiques of the studios and critiques of what is expected from creators specifically of studios, because something that I really love that is brought up in the film is its existence in general. Resurrections firmly states to the audience that this is a story that was going to get told whether or not Lana Wachowski was or like Keanu Reeves or anyone that is originally in the Matrix. This was a film that was going to get made regardless.
Yeah.
And in providing that information, it gives a sense of how this potentially pointless inclusion in the Matrix the Matrix franchise now, because the trilogy kind of really did conclude the story, so this could be seen as pointless.
Mm-hmm.
But its pointlessness provides a point, and it's something that no other Legacy sequel really has done.
Yeah.
Force Awakens, No Way Home to a Push, Ghostbusters Afterlife, all of these films are kind of like, well, let's ride off the coattails of nostalgia, and the point is, oh, nostalgia, look how good everything used to be.
Mm-hmm.
But this is saying, oh, yeah, it was good at one point, but is that really what you want?
Yeah. Is that where you want to take things?
Yeah.
And I love that it almost teases you that it's going to do that, then instantly goes, no, that's stupid. We're doing this instead.
Yeah.
And everything that happens after that is still interesting, fresh, unique, and a joy to watch.
Yes.
And, it's really good.
It's, there is, it's not a perfect film, obviously. I think the action sequences in this film are very, very bland and quite pedestrian for Lana Wachowski, and that's disappointing to say, because the Matrix trilogy, even Revolutions, has decent action sequences, but in Resurrections there's not really a standout action scene that I'll remember.
Yeah,
and that is disappointing. And I remember you saying when we just came out that the original and all the sequels work their action scenes with maintaining the camera angle and actually being able to see what's happening, and it's long takes, and it's really going for it.
It's giving things time to breathe.
Yes, yeah. But in Resurrections it doesn't really do any of that. It's very fast cutting and hard to watch. Not hard to watch, but hard to see everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And that is a glaring disappointment that's unfortunate. But in saying that, I would hope that you would agree that this film's main strength is it's not a spoiler, but is the love story that is the main push of between Trinity and Neo.
Mm-hmm.
The love story in this, I think, is the strongest it's ever been.
Yeah.
And I think Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss, especially their chemistry, are on their A game, and it's the best that it's been, really. I was thoroughly impressed with that.
It's good. I get why people would maybe be annoyed. I get why people maybe dislike it, but I think its critique on Hollywood is so enjoyable, and its misdirection as to where it's going is also done so well that I'm just like, good on you. Good for you. I like what you're doing.
Like you said, I understand why people can hate it, but at the same time, the fact that it's actually going against what you would expect and providing you with something different. Well, I mean, that was what The Matrix was originally. That's what it was all about. It was different. It was new. It was something fresh. And instead of just regurgitating the same old thing, they're doing something fresh, and I love that about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thoroughly impressed, and I think with multiple rewatches, hopefully it becomes even better, like the other sequels. Yeah. Whether or not that happens is to say, but yeah, it's one that I think that you should go and see.
Yeah.
And then, well, obviously we don't have a lot of time left, obviously, but standout, I was very impressed with Jessica Henwick as Bugs, which is a new character, and also Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris did a very good job. Yeah. You're currently in the midst of watching How I Met Your Mother.
I am, yeah.
So it's probably nice to see him in a role that wasn't Barney.
Yeah, he was good in this.
He was good in this.